I'm going to go ahead and get started. We've got a lot of material to cover. I'm Scott Werner. I'm a previous MD. I graduated from being an MD to an OBGYN. Enjoyed that for a while. Then I graduated to get cancer and cured my cancer using herbs, which got me started using herbs with my clients. And we cured a lot of different things using cancer. Now, you're not supposed to use the word cure, but I did, and I was an MD, so I can say I cured their diseases. In 2005, I gave up my medical license for my freedom and furthered my education by going on shamanic journeys, all over the world. We've visited over 59 countries now and gone to all the sacred sites we could. I know there's still more there to go to. The earth is covered in sacred sites. And why do I go to these places? Because each one you go to activates something in your body. And so it's very fun, it's exciting, and it's something that we really enjoy doing. And our last trip to Peru, however, my wife got deathly ill. She got a weird parasite, and then she got E. coli, and then she got an adenovirus. And this adenovirus, you can look all these things up on the internet, this adenovirus hyperstimulated her the adrenal nervous system and totally shut off her vagus nerve, which helps with repair of the gut, repair of the body. And she got so sick, and she kept getting sicker, and she kept saying, "Scott, you're healing everybody else. Why aren't you healing me?" And it was like every time I went to do something for her, the Spirit said, "No, this is her journey." And I was like, this is freaky. So I tell Vicki, no, this is your journey. And tick her off, Here you are healing all these people and you won't even help me. And so it was one of the hardest times of our marriage. And, I asked the Ascended Masters, please, won't you guys come help her? And they said, this is her journey. Quit it. And I was like, no, So anyway, she got to the point where she was really, really, really sick. And she was, I had left and gone to work. And my 5-year-old daughter was the only one home with her. And she was laying in bed, and my daughter was watching, some childhood show on the TV. And she came in and she found her mother, and she said, "Mama, get up. I need you to help me." And Vicki wouldn't get up. In fact, Vicki didn't answer. She didn't do anything. And so my 5-year-old daughter knew my number, and she calls me up. She says, "Dad, you need to come home. Mom's not doing good. She's not waking up." And so I left my work, and I came home to find Vicki sort of in a coma. And she wasn't breathing. Her heart had stopped, and I was like, crap, how long has she been like this, And she'd been like that for several minutes. It only took me 5 minutes to get home. And so I did a little CPR on her, and she woke up. But the reason I'm telling this story is I was told not to mess with her life purpose. But as time went on, I learned that part of her life purpose was to write a book to help others going through this kind of crap. Because there's a lot of women, especially going through dysbiosis and what they call SIBO. And Vicki got SIBO, but she got it really, 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 really bad because she had these parasites, E. coli, and this adenovirus, and the combination of those literally killed her. And so she went through the next 6 years healing. all of these things in her gut. She had to go gluten-free. She was allergic to every food except for 8. The only thing she could eat was cucumbers, beets. God, there's only 8 things, because everything else would just make her sick as a dog. And so it was a journey with her. Now, what does this have to do with the Ascension? A lot of times we go through death or near-death experiences to teach us. And one of the things I learned about death up at Mount Shasta is it isn't always in our best interest to die. Sometimes we'll die and we'll actually get trapped in another vortex and have to come live another life, or we get caught in a vortex with the dang Anunnaki, and they'll take us to another world and cause problems with us there. And so Vicki luckily came back and she started to heal. And she learned about so many different modalities. In fact, she learned so much that she had information to write a book. Now, this book was not done a year ago. And a year ago, I went through another near-death experience because I helped clear Kim Jong-un of 40 demons. The Cabal attacked me and literally put me into septic shock. And when I was in the hospital, I sort of left my body and I was up on the ceiling looking, and there was 5 what appeared to be angels there, but they felt different and weird. They weren't like any angels I'd ever seen before. And as I was looking down, Vicki came into the room, and I saw that she did not complete this book. She didn't do what her life purpose was. And so, and then my 2 daughters walked in. One is 12 and one is 13. And the 13-year-old started using drugs and getting off the path, and my 12-year-old became very depressed and suicidal. And so I looked at what was happening in their future, and I thought, this is stupid. I'm going to go back in my body. And these 5 beings kept saying, oh no, you need to come with us. And I was like, nope, I'm going back in my body. So I went, boom, back into my body because my silver cord was still attached. And these beings, before I went in, they said, oh, you'll be miserable. Your body's pretty dead. It's going to be very painful, very hard. And they were right. But this lady up at Mount Shasta, when I told her the story, she said, those weren't angels. Those were demons disguised as angels. And they were going to take you and put you in a place you didn't want to be in. And so I'm really glad I came back into my body. I made the right choice. So one of the reasons that I learned that they wanted to get rid of me was the cabal, the bad, the evil, the however you want to term it, wanted to stop the ascension process. And they're doing their dangdest to stop us from getting through the ascension. One of the things they're doing to us is they are making it so chaotic and fearful, and all of the people on the planet, not just here in the United States, are having huge uproars of turmoil and chaos, and just it's a very difficult time right now. And so my job is to help people stay stable, hopeful, with faith, and to teach them about what the ascension really is. Now, the reason the Cabal don't want the ascension to happen is they're going to not have planet Earth anymore. Mm-hmm. The Earth is going to go through the ascension also. And what that means is, maybe my battery ran out. I guess the rest of the world isn't supposed to watch this from my thing anyway. Currently, the Cabal is working on AI. And AI is artificial intelligence. And one of the reasons they're working on that so feverishly, in fact, Ashtar came to me 3 years ago and had me and another gal create a time loop, because they were taking technology from now back to the past and teaching it to people in the past, advancing the AI out of the timeline that it actually was supposed to be. Now, I know that sounds weird, but we as humans can time travel. And when you get secret space programs and you're going faster than the speed of light, time actually can reverse. And so they were going back in time and advancing the AI even faster than it should have been advanced. So Ashtar came to me because the higher beings can't interfere with third dimensional humans. And they asked me and Madison to devise a way that we could trap the time loop and make it so that they could not create another timeline. And there's actually movies that have these time loops in, so they're known. And when Madison said, let's put them in a time loop, I was like, yes, let's do that. And so Madison went and we found the ones who were doing the AI, and we actually took them back to the time when they started creating the error in the IA, and we started making it so that they caught trapped in a time loop, so that every time they went back in time, they could not advance the AI, which was very cool. And Madison actually came up with the idea, so I was really grateful Madison was around. And after we did that, it was quite fascinating. The cabal tried to zap both of us. And there was a black ops that came to my business, and they jumped out of their car and they had these weird looking devices and they were going to attach them. And Madison was amazing. She was only 20 years old, but you know, she's sharp as a tack. And she said to me, Scott, let's put a time loop on them so they can't even come in and attach these bombs. They had some bombs they were going to place in my business and blow us all up. And she started this, and I went with it. And you could see these guys getting out of their car, then they get back in their car, they get out of their car, they get back in their car. It was the weirdest thing. And finally, after this happened about 20 times, they drove off. It was really kind of interesting. So it was a very short time loop, but it was enough to keep them from doing what they were going to do. So we as humans have capacity we have no idea, you know, and I'm here to tell you, we are the ones, and we are at the point where we need to advance and ascend into a higher level. So what is the ascension? What Saint Germain described to me about the ascension was, first, we have to get enough DNA in order to make our bodies strong enough and healthy enough to go through a process of changing our molecular structure from an atomic structure to a quantum structure of light and plasma. Now, plasma is an interesting substance. The only known object here in this solar system that has plasma is our sun. And the sun is quite an interesting place. Years ago, a woman came in to me from Las Vegas. She had recurrent stage 4 breast cancer. She had heard about me somehow, and she was an architect. And she had the power of visualizing like nobody I've ever met before or since, except for maybe Madison. And she came into the office. I could see the door open, and I saw this physical person walk in, and I have the clairvoyance, so usually the next thing I see is their auric field. And I could see no aura around her. And I was like, you know, blinking my eyes, trying to readjust them, and there was no aura. And I said to her, "Who are you? Are you dead?" And she says, no, I'm almost dead. Are you looking for my aura? I'm hiding. I've put stealth energy around me. And I'm like, you did what? She says, I put stealth energy so the darkness couldn't see me, and I'm hiding from all of the dark people, the cabal, and the negative energy people. And so anyway, I said to her, well, at least let me see your aura so I can see what's going on with you. So she opened up her aura, and I could see all these cancerous tumors inside of her body. And then she goes, well, if you're going to look at me that way, look at me this way too. And she pulls up her shirt and she shows me all of the wounds. Literally, her breasts had these ulcers and sores and just looked terrible, and bruises and all kinds of just, you know, it's one of those, it was really hard on me to even look at the physicality of it. And she said, I was told that you could heal me. And I'm like, well, who did you find out about me from? And she said, I was praying, and these beings of light came to me and said, go to St. George, Utah, and you'll find the healer at the second exit in St. George. They told her exactly how to get to my office. And she said, I'm here to be healed. And I was like, whoa. I've got my job cut out for me. And so it was really interesting. I have a body scan machine, so I hooked her up to that because her energetic level was very, very low. And I knew the body scan would increase her energy because it gives you homeopathic and other kinds of energies. And it gives you whatever you're lacking and pulls out whatever's harming you. And then I put her on a parasite cleanse because I know how good parasite cleanses are to kill breast cancer. In fact, they're using wormwood in France to treat breast cancer. I mean, it's a common protocol in France. And so anyway, I gave her these charged up bottles of homeopathic energy and sent her home with a parasite cleanse. And she came back the next day, and she took the bottles out of her purse. She says, there's no more energy in these. And I'm like, what? What did you do? She said, well, I thought that if they gave me energy, I better take the whole thing. And she did. She sucked all the energy out. And she said, it made me feel a little bit better, so I want more. So I had to charge her up 2 more bottles. And all of a sudden, I had this being come speak to me and said, you need to tell her about the sun and the sun people. I was like, sun people? You know, what are you talking about? So anyway, I said, and I just kind of went with it. I said, you need to go out in the sun and you need to ask the sun people to come to you and bring you light and plasma. And then it came to me, have them bring the plasma in a big, like a Greek vase, and pour it over your body to heal your body. And she got really excited. She's like, oh, that's a great idea. You know, and so I knew I was going to see her the next day because I knew she was going to suck out the energy out of those bottles again. And sure enough, she came in the next day and she brought the 2 bottles and she says, the energy's all gone. Will you make me some more? And she said, and I want to show you what sun people did. She took her shirt and went, boom! And I was like, where's your sores? Her breasts were perfect. The sores that were on her shoulders and back, gone. And I said, what happened? And she said to me, well, I did what you told me to do. I told the sun people to come and bring some plasma and light and help me heal my breast cancer. And so she said they came, took them about 7 minutes because they were traveling the speed of light, and they brought this vase of plasma, this golden fluid, and they poured it over my head and over on my whole body. And all of my sores magically disappeared. And I was like, holy crap, what just happened? You know? And she's still alive today. And she was told, you know, she was going to die. And this was 12 years ago, quite a while ago. And but it was interesting because she taught me how to visualize and manifest, because she was so grateful. You know, she taught me how she would create architecture, and how she used the sacred geometry to create things and make things happen. And she was really surprised with my visualization, because she said, I haven't met anybody else like you. And so she wanted to communicate all of her stuff with me all the time. And I didn't have time, and I was married and have kids, and you know how life goes. And so she'd get kind of upset with me because I could only give her a certain amount of time. But she kept coming in and getting those vials for 42 days, because I told her 42 days will make all the changes in your cells. And in The Secret, the movie The Secret, they talk about if you hold the same thought and emotion for 42 days, it incorporates into every one of the daughter cells that gets produced. And so, you know, I've learned many, many things over the years. What does all of this have to do with the Ascension? Well, number one, we learned about these sun people. And these sun people are made out of light and plasma. And they're beautiful, beautiful people. And on the sun, in that vibration, they don't actually exist in just a golden white light. There's actually all the colors within their vibration, their fifth dimensional state. Because I asked these sun beings, how do you do the stuff that you do? And they said, well, we're humans who ascended into the fifth dimension. Wow. So I learned that the sun beings were once upon a time like us. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. So when I asked Saint Germain about that, he confirmed. And he said, yes, when we become light and plasma, we actually have capacities to do lots of things. We can reduce our vibration, come down into the human state so that you can feel us and touch us and hear us and know us. Or we can go to higher states. And he said, this ascension is not the only ascension. There's ascensions where we go into the sixth dimension, where we go into the seventh dimension, where we go into the eighth dimension. So our progress is always a progress of evolution and ascension, evolution and ascension. Kind of an interesting thought, huh? Go home, pray about it, meditate on it. I'm telling you the truth, okay? And Saint Germain reaffirmed that truth. Now, another thing that was interesting was when I went back into my body, my purpose was to help Vicki get her book done and to keep my older daughter off drugs and my other daughter from being depressed and suicidal. And so guess what happened? Vicki got her book done, and it's coming out next month. My 12-year-old was #1 out of 508 students last year, because I focused my energy on helping her with her homework and with doing what she needed to do. And my other daughter has become a cheerleader, and she's with really good kids, and drugs are one of the least things she wants to get into. Whereas before, her brother was smoking marijuana, and you know, she was curious and wanted to try it, and I would kick my son's butt if he let her use it. Even though I'm a ascended master, I hope. Sometimes we have to do things. But anyway, so just know that the whole process of the ascension is going to be amazing, wonderful, and beautiful. It's not scary. It's not bad, it's a very good thing. And it gets us out of the duality. The duality is mainly in the third dimension because there is not the time and the encapsulation of all of the other things that keep things moving ahead better. Believe it or not, the third dimension is the toughest dimension to get through. And this particular world is one of the hardest worlds that we could come to. And a lot of us thought we were really cool and smart, and we'd come here and just, we'd do it, and we've been entrapped in lots of what we call incarnations or time loops because of the Anunnaki and the Arconians. They want us stuck here so that we stay in fear, we stay in subjugation, we stay in the lower vibrations and feed them because they feed off the lower vibrations. And what we should do is get ourselves up to higher vibration so we won't be affected and they won't be strengthened. And so the chaos right now that's going on and all the fear and anxiety and everything is a culmination of many lifetimes, and we're having these things removed from us, believe it or not. It's interesting, as we deal with things, they have to come out. And then we can deal with them on a level of intellect and of energy and help remove them from our bodies. And so right now, the lords of karma are here for the first time, helping us deal with all our karmic debt, all our stuff. And they're actually mitigating it for us. And it's making us kind of, nervous and hot and just having, a lot of fatigue. A lot of people call these symptoms of ascension, and they really are, because they're helping us clear our auric fields. They're helping, we've got 12 auric fields, and we are multidimensional beings, and all of these go into different dimensions, and they're affecting all our interdimensional self. And so we have to clear out all these so we can actually go through the ascension. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So the reason Jesus did everything he did, he had clear auric field. He didn't have karma or dharma.
What are the symptoms of ascension?
Some of the symptoms are, believe it or not, some fatigue, because the constant entering of that plasmic energy, it's actually heating up the planet, even. I asked St. Germain, why are we having all these fires? Why are we having all this stuff? Why all the earthquakes? Why everybody worried about Yellowstone blowing up? And it's because the earth is actually heating up, and it's getting ready to go through the ascension process. The sun is putting out even more plasma energy toward the earth, and the whole process is a divine process, believe it or not. Now, the humans, the best way we can protect ourselves and keep us from getting, we need more sleep. Believe me, we all need more sleep. And all the stress, all the fatigue and everything is because we're not getting enough sleep. We need to meditate more. The meditation actually helps our bodies through the process. And so the meditation process opens us up to the creator, the creative energy, the plasma, and it helps our bodies shift easier. So all humans need to start meditating and connecting to source, because part of the ascension process is that connection to source, and the connection makes it easier and our bodies feel better. So as I do more meditating, I actually feel better. As I call on the ascended masters, because they're a higher vibration, I feel better. And I've been told to call upon them at least 2 to 3 times a day and ask them for energy ask them for light and knowledge, ask them to make the ascension an easy process. Does that make sense?
Wow.
So it's really good information. Now, St. Germain's been coming to me a lot lately. And I see them every day. By them, I see St. Germain, I see Jesus, and I see the great divine director every day. In the morning when I'm meditating, I see those three. And so I call upon those three to assist me. We each have different ascended masters we're working with. Maybe yours are the same I'm working with. Maybe they're different. And so one of the things they told me is we need to get to know the ascended masters better and get to know which ones are with us. I met somebody today who is working a lot with Serapis Bey. Now, I didn't know much about Serapis Bey. I'd heard the name, but I didn't know much about Serapis Bey. And so when I went to Taos, New Mexico, 4 months ago, 5 months ago now, I guess. Well, it was in first part of March. Yeah, somewhere in there.
February.
Yeah, I called up the guy that runs the I Am Temple there, because the I Am Temples teach about the Ascended Masters. And I wanted his group to attend the lecture on the 24-strand DNA, because I'm told I need to go around and lecture about that. And the first thing he said to me was, well, what does St. Germain look like? What was he wearing? I said, well, he had a white tunic on, his beard appeared brownish, and his hair was sort of brown, and he had on the white tunic and the Maltese cross, and he had a violet robe on. And he's like, well, did he give you the violet robe? And I said, no, he didn't. Yeah, you're right, it was March, because that's when my birthday is. So anyway, I was like, no, he didn't give me the violet robe. And he said, well, he gave me one. And I was like, well, St. Germain, why didn't you give me a violet robe? And so anyway, the next day was my birthday, and Vicki had bought us tickets to go to Vegas and see the Michael Jackson show, because I hadn't seen it before. She had seen it, but I hadn't. And I loved Michael Jackson. I thought he was fabulous. And so anyway, we went to Michael Jackson that night. And that night, going to bed, I said, St. Germain, why didn't you give me a violet robe? And he said, Scott, I've got something for you over at Dillard's in Henderson. And I was like, Dillard's in Henderson? Okay. And he says, go there tomorrow and pick it up. So anyway, we drove over to Dillard's, and I said, Vicki, I want whatever St. Germain's got for me over here for my birthday. And Vicki's a cheap wad. Oh, don't tell her I said. But anyway, we get over to Dillard's, and right on the end of a rack, view to all the public, is this violet jacket. I go up, I put it on, it's perfect, it fits me perfect.
Customized.
And I'm like, hey, this is from St. Germain. So anyway, I call Vicki over and show her, and she looks at the tag, and she says, that's $400. I said, yeah, let's buy it. She says, that's way too expensive. So anyway, we left it there.
The beauty of marriage.
And it was quite interesting, because was it you that told me to go back and get it or something? But anyway, somehow I was able to get them to send it to me. And so here I am in this violet jacket from St. Germain. And I'm very happy to have it. As you can tell, I wear it wherever I go speak. And I believe St. Germain wants me to wear this, because the violet flame is something that transmutes energy in our body and gets us ready for the ascension. So if we want to become ascended masters, wear violet, visualize violet around your body, because it will assist you with your ascension. So that's another little tidbit that Saint Germain taught me. Okay, does anybody have any questions about the stuff we've talked about so far?
Okay,
Go ahead.
I just wanted a quick synopsis on who St. James is.
Saint James.
Saint Germain.
Oh, Saint Germain. Okay. Well, you know, in learning about the Ascended Masters, I was praying for the best herbalist on the planet to come teach me about the herbs. And this guy showed up the next day. He went by the name of Steve Hennenfent, but he knew a crap load of stuff about Saint Germain. And I was like, how does he know so much about Saint Germain? He'd tell me stories in first person about being Merlin and assisting people with herbs and incantations of righteousness, because he said there's dark magic also. And Merlin was always in the light. In fact, he had a violet flame around him and also the green flame of Christ around him. And he talked about how Joseph, who was the stepfather of Jesus, was Saint Germain, and how he was born to accept Mary so that when she became impregnated, that he would accept her as his wife, because if he hadn't have done that, they would have stoned Mary, and Jesus would have died inside the womb of Mary. And so Saint Germain was that. Saint Germain was also a count in Transylvania. Transylvania actually existed, and all of the bad stories about Transylvania was made up by the cabal to make people think Transylvania was a bad place. But at Transylvania, actually, the Count of Saint Germain, which was in Transylvania, he followed all the teachings of Jesus, and he actually went through the Ascension in his life. He didn't have to wait until our time. He actually went through it back then. Saint Germain also went to all the kings and queens of Europe and tried to keep them from fighting with each other and tried to bring peace to Europe. He helped our founding fathers who made the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. He helped Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and all the founding fathers write those things. He also assisted George Washington and helped him realize that they could beat the British, even though the British was the best standing army in all the world at the time. Our battered revolutionaries actually won the revolution because they were supposed to create a country of freedom, and he helped Lincoln to go through what he did to free the people, and helped create the system of capitalism that helps to create wealth. And it's quite interesting. You know, a lot of socialist countries are against capitalism. But capitalism, actually, if you work hard and do your best, you can have all the money you need and desire. And Saint Germain has showed me many times that capitalism is the highest form on this planet. There are higher forms, and he is going to bring in what they call the RV, which is the reevaluation, where everybody is going to have abundance and have money in their accounts. Because we have 3 billion people waking up every morning not knowing where their breakfast is even going to come from. And so Saint Germain is all about abundance, prosperity, freedom, bringing about the evolution of humanity. The cabal is all about stopping it, bringing forth the AI. Their desire is to put themselves in these robots and live forever, in their power-mongering state. So it's quite interesting that Saint Germain described all this stuff to me. So does that kind of answer your question?
Indeed.
And he was the prophet Joshua also in the Old Testament. And so Saint Germain's been many figures. I haven't even mentioned all of them. He's reincarnated a lot more than Jesus. Jesus, to my knowledge, has only had 3 incarnations. He was in the Old Testament as a prophet. It wasn't Ezekiel, it was Elias. And then he incarnated. Some people feel like he may have incarnated as the Buddha, but I believe that was another individual. And then incarnated as Jesus, and then he incarnated as an ascended master. So he's already, and from what Saint Germain has told me, Jesus has already gone through all of the dimensions of our solar system and our plexus. So he's even more advanced than our solar system goes. And the interesting thing about the universe is it's not a multiverse, it's an omniverse. In other words, it goes on and on and on, and it's still creating. So God, the creator, has not stopped. It's still, going on and on and on. So any other questions? Go ahead.
Sure. The revelation of Jesus, the end of the Bible, it shows Jesus leading an interdimensional war that will finish off the cabal, and it describes a great crowd of survivors that come out of the what's called the Great Tribulation. That's in the 7th chapter.
Yes.
Now, those survivors could include us who are breathing right now. Is that a picture of them going through an ascension, and that will start to actually acquire this plasma combination?
Yes. Now, Revelation's an interesting revelation, and it has a lot of information in there. And I don't claim to be, really versed completely in that. But from what Saint Germain has said, is that all of the people who choose not to evolve and choose to follow the dark side or the reptilian energies will be vaporized as the earth becomes, an ascended globe. And their soul essence and their personality will go back to source and be dissolved and reabsorbed, because they've been so evil they will not change. And so that's one of the things that will happen to them. Now, there'll be a lot of us who won't believe in God. 52% of the United States is atheist now. And they're not bad people, but they're not in a belief system. And so they will be offered an opportunity to learn. And if they don't want to learn, they'll be transported off planet through spacecraft. Because, we've got a secret space program. We've got lots of alien ships around the earth. They're here to watch the ascension. They're here to help us. And they will be of assistance to those humans that want to stay in the third dimension and take them to another Class M planet, like the Star Trekkies say, So that's what I've been told by Saint Germain. So it's not going to be as horrible as the depiction in the Revelation, but it's going to be God is love, and that's all God is. And everything is going to be according to the benevolence and love of God. So we don't have to worry about it. The other thing that's really cool that Saint Germain said is we only have to come 51% of the way, and they're going to help us the rest of the 49%. So just know, if you've got your mind on God, and your mind is connecting and you're trying to do your best, it's good. It's good enough.
Inquiring 2 or 3 times a day.
Well, that's just me talking on what Saint Germain told me to do, because he wants me to connect with them 3 times a day, at least. He said, you can connect more if you want. It's not that we have a limit, because the only limits we put on ourselves are our own. And so these are just suggestions, because I am doing this and I am receiving further enlightened knowledge and good information. And so I want all of us to receive, because I'm not, I'm just Scott. And you guys are who you are, and all of us are the ones who need to go through this ascension. All of us, not just me. I'm going to get there. I know I'm going to get there. A lady checked me for my DNA, and she said, you have 112 strands, Scott. What have you been doing? I'm like, well, I continued beyond, what Saint Germain told me to do. And she said, you could ascend. How come you're not ascended? And I said, because I choose to stay and help others, because that's my purpose in this life. I'm here to help everybody else, including my family. I want my family to be good too. And so one of the reasons I came back from my near death was to help my family and to help others. And I'm glad I did. And it's been painful. Let me tell you, it's been painful fixing a dead body. I mean, literally, I had to rebuild my kidneys, my adrenal glands, my thyroid wasn't working, my pancreas hasn't been working, but it's starting to. I'm healing my body. And I went from 145 units of insulin a day, and I'm down to 20, which is pretty good, which means I am producing some insulin in my own pancreas, which is cool, man. We can regenerate anything. And so just know that as we receive more and more DNA, our ability to create, even heal ourselves, becomes more powerful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
So symptoms, so basically that we need more rest sometimes.
Yes.
Than we are maybe.
One of the other symptoms is a lot of people are having their eyesight change. And what I've recommended to people is take astaxanthin and zeaxanthin, because those two, my eyes got very damaged when I went through this diabetic crisis. And I was told by Saint Germain to take zeaxanthin and astaxanthin, and I started doing it. And my eyes are as good or better than they were before I had that near-death experience. So I don't have to wear glasses, I don't wear contacts, and I can read and do whatever I want again, and I'm 61 years old. Now, another thing that Saint Germain said is make the statement, I am younger, stronger, healthier, more beautiful every day. Now, the beautiful part is a tough one for a lot of people. Because, even a man, because I want to be beautiful, I want to be handsome, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And when we make the statement more beautiful, beautiful can connotate a lot of energies, not just physical beauty, but inner beauty. And it's very important to make statements like that. He says, stand in front of the mirror, look yourself in the eyes and say, I am younger, stronger, healthier, more beautiful every day. And say it 3 times. I am younger, stronger, healthier, more beautiful every day. I am younger, stronger, healthier, more beautiful every day. And it starts changing your physical body. Younger, stronger, healthier, more beautiful every day. So that's another thing that Saint Germain wants me to tell you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
You mentioned about the eyes, the zeaxanthin and the astaxanthin. Where do you get those?
They actually have them at herb stores. They're compounds that are very high in red and green pigment. And they go into the eyes and they help remove oxidative stress and improve the retina. Now, another thing that I found over the years is pycnogenol. You ever heard of pycnogenol? Very good for the retina of the eyes. And it's another very powerful, but pycnogenol comes from pine trees, and specific pine trees in France and Oregon. But the pycnogenol helps protect the retina. And a lot of people are getting retina detachments, and all kinds of problems and bleeds into the retina. But the zeaxanthin, the astaxanthin, and pycnogenol protect the cornea and the retina.
What kind of dosage?
I would take 4 to 5 milligrams of each a day. The pycnogenol may be a little higher, about 30 milligrams a day. And it's very protective for the eyes and restorative for the eyes. So at least that's been my experience with my own eyes, and I've put a lot of people on it, and they've discovered the same things.
Has
So-
it what's the word, taken away the cataracts and help with that too?
Cataracts are caused by fungus.
Okay,
They make it opaque because the fungus starts growing in the cornea and causes, the cataract. And so I also take antifungals every day because currently living on the planet Earth, we have more fungus than we've ever had because we have more sugar than we've ever had. And so I tell people, take some antifungals every day because it
which
helps.
ones do you suggest?
My favorite antifungal comes from a company called Systemic Formulas, and I've been told by St. Germain to charge it under my pyramid. So get yourself a pyramid, put all your herbs under there, and set your intent, because pyramids control scalar energy and actually can activate it. We activate it with our brain, and then love it with your heart, and send the energy to the pyramid to make their herbs the best possible herbs for your body. And it will augment the strength of everything. You could even put your food under a pyramid. Go ahead.
I do large doses of vitamin C and MSM.
Yes, and vitamin C is a very good antioxidant.
Right,
And MSM is very good for the liver and the joints.
right,
And it actually becomes DMSO in the body.
right.
And DMSO is a good solvent, so it helps move out, heavy metals and stuff.
And that would be considered an antifungal. Or-
MSM, methylsulfonylmethane. It's not really an antifungal, but it's an anti-inflammatory.
Uh-huh.
And vitamin C is a good anti-inflammatory. When I got cancer, Hulda Clark told me cancer is caused by parasites, fungus, virus, and toxins.
Mhm.
So anything that you're taking that lowers those in your body can make your body healthier.
Mhm.
And so I really believe antifungals cause our skin to get more wrinkled.
Mhm.
It causes our eyes deterioration. Well, everything deteriorates with fungus. So you want to cut out sweets because we're all eating way too many sweets. Sugars, including potatoes, breads, and processed sugars. A little bit of sugar isn't bad for you because I found with my pancreas, a little bit of sweetness is actually really good for you. But get your sweetness in fruits because it's much better, and the fruits are full of acrocyanidins and different.
Polyminerals.
Yeah, very good for you, and they have vitamin C and all the stuff you're talking about. And so eating a good diet, this lady did a study about what healed most people who had spontaneous remission from diseases and different things. And the number one thing was changing your diet, eating better food. staying away from GMOs
Mhm.
and petrochemicals, because humans have designed these things, and humans aren't the creator, and we've actually created things that may look like they've made our lives better, but in some ways they've toxed up the planet, you know?
Frankenfood.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so, but changing your diet, eating better food is very important. That's also something that will help us through the ascension. The plants, believe it or not, they're finding plants now with more DNA, which is way cool. You know, I never realized this until I saw this article, and I'm like, well, that makes sense. The whole earth is increasing its DNA. The plants, the animals, everything, because they're getting ready for the ascension. You know, and they're more natural, they're more associated with the creator, so they just do it naturally. And we, as humans, we need to manifest it. So does anybody have any questions about the 24-strand DNA manifestation? Well, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so that needs to be said out loud so that you can receive it, or can it be done?
It's more powerful
Okay.
out loud. When God said, let there be light, and then did the rest of the creation, everything was voiced, and it said the voice of God. And our voice was created like God's voice.
Right.
And so saying that out loud is very powerful, because it puts that vibratory energy into the etherics and energies around us. And it does create. They found that our mind starts moving scalar energy. Our visualizing stuff, our sight, we actually put, not only does light enter our eyes, but we put light out from our eyes. You've kind of seen these pictures where people are putting out light. And so as we visualize, we're activating that scalar energy. Does everybody know what I'm talking about when I say scalar? It's a potential energy. It doesn't act until it's acted upon. And so we have to activate it. The throat is even more powerful in activating the scalar energy. When we use our heart, it's huge to activate scalar energy. Hercules, when he healed my heart, he said, Scott, share this energy of your new heart. And literally, you know, I had a heart attack. My old heart sort of bit the bullet. And I was up on top of Half Dome. And I didn't realize this, but Half Dome is a sanctuary of Hercules and Amazonia.
Wow.
And they are the Elohim of the purity of the white flame. And he is in charge of the heart chakra. And he gave me a new heart on Half Dome. I haven't had chest pain in 15 years. I was having chest pain and all kinds of problems before I got this new heart. And because of the vibration of this new heart, I am able to send it to other people. And they receive it, and it helps their hearts. It's quite fascinating. So if you see me over hugging people, I'm not a molester, I'm sending heart energy. Yeah, my thoughts are on sending Hercules' heart energy to their heart. And so just know that's what I'm doing.
Also, he has his own nutrition store if you want to go to the source.
Well, it's quite interesting. When I went through all the stuff with the feds, I ended up wondering what I was supposed to do the rest of my life, because they took away, they didn't take they pretty much did. I voluntarily relinquished my medical license, and it took away my ability to make good money. And so I was like, geez, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And so back then, even then, I had communication, and they said you're to open an herb store and do intuitive readings on people and continue to get people healthy. because that's very important to do to get the physical body healthy. So you feel good enough to work on the rest of your art field. Because it's pretty hard when you're miserable and sick and
Yeah.
have no energy. And so we have an herb store in St. George, Utah. But St. Germain came to me 3 weeks ago and he says, Scott, I want you to do something different. And he says, I want you to change your talk when you go up to Mount Shasta, and I want you to tell people that you're helping people get ready for the Ascension. Because they come to these conferences, you get all excited, and then you go back to your life, and it all goes away, and nothing changes. And so he says, mentor them for 6 months. Now, the reason he said 6 months, there's 4 42-day periods. Actually, there's 4.5 42-day periods in a 6-month session. So you have the opportunity to make 4 major changes. A lot of people can only work on one thing at a time. You know, humans are interesting. And if we get too many things, we get overwhelmed and quit. So he said, work on 1 to 2 things every 42 days and get them incorporated into their cellular matrix, and then get them 2 more things to work on, and then 2 more things to work on, and then 2 more. So by the end of the 6 months, you've worked on 8 things that have shifted everything that you are. And so St. Germain said, I want you to mentor people and do it for 6 months. And I want you to help them create better habits, better ways of doing things, and help assist them with their goals. Because the main thing the Ascended Masters want for you is what you want. You know, if you want to just be a better guitar player, or you just want to be a better father, or you just want to be a better neighbor, whatever it is you desire, the Ascended Masters are here to help us. And they've taught me, they've assisted me to be the best person I can be. And a mentor just needs to be 2 steps ahead to lead, believe it or not. And luckily, I've been led good enough that I'm several steps, and my wife is even more steps. My wife is amazing. I just adore her, and she's going to assist me with the mentoring, because she's been actually doing the mentoring she's learned about it 4 years ago, but she's been doing the mentoring for 4 years. So I have sort of mentored people, but it's mainly been about the physical body, and now I'm supposed to mentor people about the mental, the causal body, the astral body, all of the different things. And I have mastered astral travel, and I've mastered time travel, and I've been able to change timelines even for people. And I can help you change your timelines, because sometimes we get stuck because of things in the past. And so we can work on those kind of things. And so what I'm offering is, me and my wife did mentoring, and the last mentoring we did, believe it or not, cost $18,000. And when this guy offered this, my wife said, no way in hell, that's too much money. You know how she is with the $400 for the St. Germain jacket. Anyway.
You didn't give it to you?
What's that?
He didn't give it to you?
So I looked at that, and I said to Vicky, I said, I want you to do this. Because I'd been gone through that near-death experience. This was 8 months ago, but we went to a training, and he offered this. And I said to Vicky, you need to do this, because I had that near-death experience, and I wanted her to get that book done and get her self-esteem to the point where she would get it done. And I knew, I was told by St. Germain while I was sitting there, this will help Vicki finish her book. And so I went over to Vicki and I said, I'm gonna buy this for you. And she says, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. You test and see if this isn't for you. Because I tested it for me and it wasn't. Because I knew I would learn and glean from what she was doing, because I attended all the mentoring sessions with her, and I don't care if you share. But anyway, but St. Germain said, offer it to the people for this much. Because he said most people can buy a lousy car. Most lousy cars cost about $3,000. But the thing he said, if they're not ready and they aren't able to save, they need to be taught how to put money away until they get the $3,000. He said that it's very important that we realize money is energy, and how we produce our energy and our money is very important. St. Germain's all about prosperity, and prosperity comes from our belief system and from our actively using our minds to create money. And so if you're going through hard times, learn how to get through the hard times and put a small amount away, because it'll grow. It'll grow. Most of us are living paycheck to paycheck. And St. Germain said that's the worst thing you can do, because you're not putting away for the future. You're not putting any of your energy for the future. You're going to work every day, just barely paying your bills, And what we have to learn is to use the money wisely, use our energy wisely, and put our energy, store it. Store a little bit of money. And he said, believe it or not, this is a lesson we as humans need to learn. We need to learn to live within our means, and even a little bit less than within our means. And as we put away, it actually makes us have better self-esteem, because we see that growing, and it helps create an energy of saving for the future and getting stuff ready for the future, getting a goal ready for the future. And so he's told me not to accept any students until they pay in full. But I am supposed to put YouTubes up to help them start learning how to put away and doing things that way.
It's 2 minutes till 6.
Yes. So I'd like to thank you for coming. If you'd like any of our books, this was the first book I wrote called Take Back Your Health. It's an oracle book. In other words, you hold it in your hands, you say, what do I do for my health today? You open it up and it'll go right to where you do. It vibrates at 780, which is what David Hawkins said was health. The word health vibrates in 780. Anything above 700 vibrates in Christ consciousness and love. And this book was my second book. It talks about evolving our DNA, and it does make you more prosperous. The funniest story I have is this lady called me up, says, I've never made more than minimum wage in my whole life. I did your 24-strand DNA thing, and I got better at my work, more efficient. I was producing more. My boss kept saying, what are you doing? You're really, you're much smarter, and you're doing more with your time. What are you doing? She says, I'm doing a 24-strand DNA manifestation. And the boss was like, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. So anyway, she got done, and literally it gave her the cojones, even though she's a woman, to ask her boss for a raise. And guess what she asked for? She asked for $35 an hour, which was 5 times what she was getting. The boss kind of looked at her. She said he looked at me and he says, well, you're my most valuable employee now. So what are you going to do if I don't give it to you? She says, I'm going to quit and go somewhere else. And so he said, well, I guess I better give it to you then, because I don't want to lose you. So just know that doing the 24-strand manifestation actually activates more DNA in your body. You get smarter, you get more powerful, you get more energy, and it's very, very good for you. So anyway, we're at the end, and the third book is about Father Gabriel Mejia. It's all about, I wrote it 3 years ago, believe it or not, it's how to get off opioids, get off prostitution, you know, all the bad stuff that a lot of people are doing, and it helps change our minds and our thoughts to get us off of addictions. And he's got a 98.8% success rate. Currently here in the United States, we have a 90% recidivism rate, which means we go back to doing the same crap again. So thank you for coming, and God bless each and every one of you.
I will say, in this room, Andre Knight was supposed to speak, but I don't think he is, so if you want to continue, Andre, you're allowed to.
I've got some people that needed my help,
Okay, I'm just putting that out there.
so I'm gonna be at my booth in case anybody wants to buy books or get the 24-strand DNA. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's not relevant.
Scott,
Yes.
can you save me a book, your first book? I didn't get that one.
Yes, the Oracle book.
That one, yes.
Yeah, that's a fun book.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting, I didn't realize it was an Oracle book until I took it to this angel reading. She said, Scott, that tells you what you're supposed to do every day. You just ask it, you know? And I was like,
Thank you.
that's cool, you're welcome. Oh, I need to give you some of the heart energy.
My heart needs that.
Since you can.
No, because mine's just. God bless you.
Glad you came.
Enjoy it. Glad you came. You needed some heart energy. Okay. It's just for Hercules, so whatever you. They were really fun.
I was joking. Wow.
Yeah.
And then I finally had to look. because you
It feels like one of those things, huh?
You're very positive.
I just had 6 feet of forest.
Around you?
Yeah, in front of me.